Everybody, Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley with you. It is, of course, our Wednesday afternoon, 3 o'clock here, and we're going to be talking about the winter weather threats as we go into the rest of the week and into the weekend. We're starting to get a little bit more clarity on the forecast here, and as we get a little bit closer, we can talk about more details with this winter situation that's going to be headed toward the Triad area. Winter storm watches have been issued now across the area, and you might have seen that buzz on your phone. That's part of what we're tracking for you this afternoon. So let's get right to it. First things first, it is going to be a winter storm for the Piedmont, and it's just a question of what kind. It's not a question of is it going to hit us or is it not going to hit us. It is going to hit us. That is the question that we're trying to answer for you. And I certainly think that it's going to be a combination of factors. It's not just going to be snow. It's not just going to be sleet. And it's not going to just be freezing rain either. All of these are options on the table. And it'll really vary from town to town. You know, here at WFMY, what we're tasked with covering about 13 counties in the Piedmont, it'll be different in every county. And it'll be different in every town. But all of us have the same message. And the same message is be prepared to be stuck inside for a couple of days. And that's for a couple of reasons. It's number one, the roads are probably going to be very difficult to get around when you factor in the snow, sleet, ice combination that we're expecting. Number two, be prepared to be stuck at home and possibly without power as well. Not to mention the fact that the temperature is going to be getting very low and it'll be getting very cold heading into next week. So there are fun winter storms. There are fun winter weather events. This, I fear, is actually more of a dangerous one and more of a miserable one. And we got to just be ready to stay safe around our area. So we do have a News 2 weather impact alert for you. This is going into midday Saturday, should be when this is starting, all the way through Sunday night. And that doesn't mean the impacts stop Sunday night. That means the weather system is stopping at that point. And then we're dealing with the aftermath. Now, right now, this is a totally different weather system heading our way. It's a little bit of a weak cold front. That's headed our way. There's not a lot happening here that you need to worry about. The main system is still way on the other side of the country. We're talking about in the Pacific. So we don't have the system to show you on radar just yet. What I do have to show you are winter weather alerts starting to become issued around the area and around the country. So as we watch these kind of unfold, we're going to be tracking these into the weekend. They've already gone ahead and put out a winter storm watch. Get this, all the way from, you can see it on your screen, all the way from New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, stretching all the way to the Carolinas. This is a wide-reaching and big impact winter situation. And so for us here in North Carolina, what does that mean? Well, a winter storm watch means that some significant winter weather is on the way, and that we're going to be looking very, very closely at what kind of impacts those are going to be. To be more specific about the winter storm watch, that goes until Monday. The reason it goes until Monday is that we're looking at seeing this continuing all the way through the middle of the afternoon for impacts on the roads. The precipitation should be shutting off as we get into the middle of the day on Monday, the Sunday night time frame. But then after that, even as we're dry, it's still going to be very hazardous around the area. So that's something to keep in mind. Winter storm watch is in effect. What else do we know about the storm and what should we track for you? Well, generally, it's going to be a very different storm depending on where you are. A very different storm depending on where you are. And some of the models over the last day or so have shifted north. And what I mean by shifting north is that they've adjusted with where the warmer air above our heads is going to be. And so with that being said, here's kind of an estimate based on my assumption of who gets what across North Carolina, who gets what. For our area, there's going to be quite a variety. And that variety will include areas in our northern counties and the North Carolina mountains having a better chance to perhaps stay all snow up here. But that chance has been going down. The chance of you getting a snow system here that stays snow the whole time is pretty darn low, unfortunately. This lighter pink shade, which includes most of us, that's where I expect we're going to have a combination of snow and sleet. Snow and sleet. And when we talk about sleet, those are the tiny ice balls, the ice pellets that fall from the sky and hit us. They don't cause power outages, usually. but we would be getting a lot of sleet, I would estimate, in this situation. Otherwise, there is a major ice threat that'll be developing across parts of the state. I would expect from Charlotte to Raleigh and everywhere in between here, and from the Sandhills as well, there's a major threat of freezing rain that'll need to be watched. Very carefully. So that's kind of the biggest concern that we have, is who gets the worst ice, where is it, and how does that impact things? How does that impact your life with power outages and downed trees and all of these concerns? Those are big things that we still have to figure out. So that's kind of my best estimate right now. I can show you a couple of the different computer models, but in general, what's changed since we talked about yesterday? Well, what's changed that the storm could be trending a little bit farther to the north, which does increase that risk of ice mixing in with the snow and with the sleet. As far as the timeline on this will be starting as snow on Saturday and then switching over to sleet by Saturday evening, then by freezing rain sometime during the day on Sunday. So that's kind of the timeline of events here. Snow, that's your best hope on Saturday afternoon. If you're trying to get some, it might not be much, but we will see that opportunity on Saturday afternoon. Then switching over to sleet and freezing rain by Saturday afternoon and evening, and into the overnight hours by Sunday. That's when we'll start to have a better chance of ice. You want to be prepared for possible power outages. The risk of power outages in our area is growing a little bit. So all along we've been calling this a winter storm and not a snowstorm. That's because of the combination of snow, sleet, and ice. So what you need to be prepared for is dangerous travel, power problems that could last for many days. I don't know if I've mentioned just how cold it's going to be in this system, but it's going to be incredibly cold. We're talking about temperatures that'll be basically in the teens throughout the whole event. So you think about it. We could be seeing mixed precipitation with temperatures in the teens. Just bitterly cold stuff. So we're going to be having a lot of cold air around for this weather event in the Piedmont going into this weekend. I do want to share with you some of our computer model forecasts. Again, these are not exact. It's not something that we totally agree with necessarily, but it gives you an idea. Here's one motion here that shows you pretty dry through lunchtime on Saturday. Not that bad Saturday morning and midday. However, we would start to see some snow in this scenario by Saturday afternoon and evening. That snow hanging on for dear life as we go into the midnight. And what this pink color is, that's the warm air moving in above our heads. That pinkish color, that's the sleet. And eventually down here, there's not a separate color for it, but that would be the freezing rain. What happens with warm air going above your heads is that it melts those snowflakes and then it refreezes them on the way down. And so then at that point, once you do that, you're usually stuck with sleet or freezing rain for the rest of the storm. So the snow totals could be very low with this system. But notice how long this continues. I mean, it goes all the way into Monday morning. So we very well might need to extend our weather alert all the way into early Monday. That was one computer model idea. I can show you another option here. This would be the European model, which I have some issues with overall. I think it's a little bit too warm with the system and underestimating what we call our cold air wedge here in the Piedmont. I think this is underestimating that cold air wedge just a little bit. So let me adjust the timing on this to start Saturday morning. And again, this is also adjusted to beginning a lot later during the day on Saturday, which is to say Saturday morning probably going to be your last chance to get out and about and do real world things. It doesn't have it starting until Saturday night. So the timing on this is really shifting and really adjusting to be later and later through the day. Now, as we work our way into Saturday afternoon and evening, this has it basically starting as sleet, not even giving us hardly any snowfall. And then into Sunday morning, mostly sleet turning into freezing rain. This model has more of an ice storm for us. I'm not saying I believe that to a T, but that is a concern that we have to be aware of. If we get an ice storm, we're going to have a lot of power outage problems, and that's something we really have to consider very strongly and to be worried about with this weather system. So there's a lot on the table here. There's a lot that we talked about. I do think the impacts are going to be high, whether it be from snow or ice or travel or power. We're going to have high impacts. And remember, when we're talking about freezing rain, if we were to get that toward the end, it doesn't take much freezing rain to create bad impacts. Once you get above 1/4 of an inch, trees start to break. Once you get above 1/2 an inch, you are in big trouble with widespread tree damage. This is the type of storm that could do that to parts of North Carolina, and so we need to be ready for that. Bottom line, Saturday into Sunday, snow or ice bring travel and power problems. You should be ready to be stuck inside for a couple of days. The roads are likely to still be bad going into next week for several days, and we could have power outages that linger for a long time as well. That's the forecast as we see it right now. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the day, throughout the week, and really into next week as well. I just finished, yeah.
Okay. Is that the laptop?
This is my personal laptop.
Okay.
But yeah,
What laptop do you normally?
any one. I'll usually take the one from Ed's desk in the weather center.
Here's the. This is the cable, right?
That's the cable. So basically, the whole idea behind it that Kevin had was if you plug it in, it acts as like your Zoom camera.
That camera's